The best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets, casket is tied. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Tick your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
Happy Sunday, everybody. How are we doing? A little special stream for you guys today. Usually Sundays are pretty busy for me, but I was able to get some time to do a little live stream for this 5-game slate. It's a pretty interesting slate tonight. If you're not a DFS Army VIP member, sign in using the promo code Mdell. Save yourself 10% off every month. Get into Slack, ask a bunch of questions, learn some new sports. We had a NASCAR stream earlier today for the race that's going on tonight, this afternoon. And then now I'm going to go over some hockey stuff for this 5-game slate that locks at 5 p.m. tonight. I'm just going to get right into it here, and we'll go into first game, Carolina Hurricanes at the Detroit Red Wings. Carolina's implied 3.4, Detroit 2.2. This is probably one of my favorite games on the slate to kind of go over. I did both of the Fanduel and DraftKings sheets for the DFS Army for today's slate, and you can see that if you looked at those, Carolina is one of my top stacks of the slate. They've just been really good. They're still without Vincent Trocheck. He's going to miss a little bit. Just got some news that Jake Gardiner got assigned to the taxi squad, so that's going to be good for him to come back on the defense for Carolina as well. But if we take a look at our research station over here, throw in any questions that you have in the comments, and can answer some questions for you to kind of help you guys out with the slate tonight. But here we see the little breakdown of the Hurricanes and the Red Wings. Detroit, they're just not a good team. They play really bad defense. Their goalies aren't that good. For goalies in this one, I love Alex Nedeljkovic. I'm still always going to butcher that name, but he's starting for Carolina, so I really like him in cash games today. He's a big favorite. He is on the road, but Detroit doesn't really have that much firepower. Since Trocheck is out, the Hurricanes have kind of moved their lines around a little bit, and it was the same as last game. So we have Niederreiter, Aho, and Nikas on the top line, and then Svechnikov, Stahl, and Fost on the second line. I really like their top line for tournaments. I give a slight edge to just their overall power play unit, as we see the Stahl, Aho, Niederreiter, Hamilton, and Svechnikov. I really like Dougie Hamilton. You can see he's much better price on FanDuel. DraftKings is a little harder to kind of fit him in there, but you can make it work with some of the value that we have. Just looking at my cheat sheet here with my rankings. Stahl is a little better price on FanDuel. He's kind of priced up on DraftKings at 5,800, but he's been really good, and he gets all that power play time too, which really helps him out. Svechnikov is a little better value on FanDuel as well. He's kind of priced up on DraftKings. And then obviously Dougie Hamilton is pretty pricey on DraftKings, but you can make it work with some of the value that we have. It's kind of like the guys I'm interested in here. We're seeing here, I'll look over at the skaters tab. This is a great thing to use. We can go to Carolina, just have the Carolina guys, and we see like they're all projected pretty high. Their top couple lines. Brett Pesce, he's not bad for some value at defense either, but kind of the first thing that I do is I'll look at their last 5 games. I'll sort shots and blocks. And then we can see like Dougie Hamilton, 23 shots and blocks over the last 5 games, averaging over 20 points on Fanduel and DraftKings. And then we look here at Strechnikov, 20 and 14, Stahl, 26 and 19, Aho, 24 and 17. Aho didn't do that much last game that they scored 5 goals, but I expect that to change here tonight because I really like him. And we can take a look at. There we go. That's what I want. And we will take a look at Scott. Yes, I do. I love Demko last night. Edmonton was playing a lot of games in a row. I mean, 3 games in 4 nights. Demko's been really good. So, I mean, he was cheap on both websites. You got to take that chance in tournaments, and it paid off last night. So I was happy about that. But yeah, definitely on that Carolina side for sure. We'll take a look at the next game. Dallas Stars at the Columbus Blue Jackets. Dallas implied 3, Blue Jackets 2.6. I didn't expect this game to go how it did last night. I think it was a 4-3 game with Columbus taking the win. I do expect that to change, especially because Jonas Korpisalo is starting for Columbus. But here I'll sort the good old research station with Columbus and Dallas. If you're able to look at my cheat sheet, I do, again, I like the Dallas 1 line of Pavelski, Kurvianta, and Robertson. With Kurvianta and Robertson, they give you a lot of value. Also, I really like their second line too, which throws in Guryanov, and let's see who else is on there. Guryanov, Dickinson, and Ben. They've been pretty good lately for that Dallas side. We'll take a look just at Dallas. You kind of see why. Like Pavelski has kind of been slowing down a little bit. Still got 18 shots over his last 5 games, which is still pretty good. Robertson, good value, averaging over 10 points on both sides. Fasksa, he's averaging close to 10 on DraftKings and 13 on FanDuel. He's really cheap. Guryanov, really cheap on both sides. He's got the upside. Most shots over the last 5 games for them. So I really like him. He actually made my DK core just because how cheap he is. But I'd kind of stick to Dallas more so as a GPP stack on the slate tonight, especially with Pavelski kind of being expensive on both sides. But you can get the value with Guryanov, Robertson, or Dickinson. But looking here at the Columbus side, they did score 4 goals last game. I don't think that they're going to do that tonight. But I do have some interest in their top line. A little mess up here with the screen. I do have interest in their top line on the slate today, which looking like it's going to be Foligno, Jenner, and Atkinson. I'm just going to take a look to see if anything has changed on that. On left wing lock. Let's see. So Foligno, Jenner, and Atkinson, they're a pair. They're listed as the second line on left wing lock, but I mean they're still playing together, so that's fine. I like the second line, but more so Bjorkstrand and Patrick Laine. Riley Nash, just not really any interest in him. He doesn't really do anything. I really, really, really like Zach Werenski, especially on DraftKings. He's only 4,800 on DraftKings. Really good value. He's playing like 25 plus minutes every night. He's blocking shots. He's taking shots. Got a good DVP matchup. 22 shots and blocks over his last 5 games. He's the same price on both websites, so I do think he's good value on both sites. And has that floor. Seth Jones is also, I think he's a little bit more, $100 more on both sites. I prefer him on FanDuel for $5K over the 5,400 that he is on DraftKings. The thing with Columbus, it's kind of hard to trust them. Dallas plays good defense. Anton Khudobin's been really good. But I do think Dallas can score in this game against Korpisalo. He hasn't really been great this season, averaging 3 goals against per game. And just because Dallas isn't scoring, I do think that can change here. Next game on the slate, New York Islanders at the New Jersey Devils. The Islanders are implied 3.2, the Devils 2.4. Some injury news for Dallas. I'll backtrack a little bit. Rupe Hintz is a game-time decision, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that as the day goes on before that game starts. But for this game, Anders Lee, he's got placed on long-time IR, so he's going to be missing a few games, which brings some great value for Bellows. Kiefer Bellows, I might have said that wrong. But he's min price. He's getting top line play. I'm not sure if he's on the power play, but I'm going to double check that right now because I think he was yesterday. Yeah, he's also getting top power play time. So, I mean, 3K on Fanduel, and he is. Let's see what he's min price on. So he's min price on both sides. That's kind of a cash plug and play. He had 2 goals last night, few shots, so I really like him there, especially against a Devils team who, like, both their goaltenders have really been struggling lately. I like pairing him with Barzal. Eberle's a great play on DraftKings because of his price. 5,200, really like that. 57 on FanDuel, don't like that as much. But we can have some value on DraftKings there. Ryan Pulock, he's got 16 shots and blocks over the last 5 games with 4 assists. Really like that. Decent price on both sides. We'll go back to the research station here for you guys. Make sure it's sharing right. There we go. You'll see here, like, first in goals against, second in goals for over the last 10 games in the league. They've been crushing it. They're 9-0-1 in their last 10. They won 3-2 last night. I have some interest in Sorokin. I'm going to leave him more towards tournaments just because he's not an $8,700 goalie that he is on FanDuel. He's 81 on DraftKings, which is some other guys that I think are still in good spots. They're just cheaper. He's really expensive, so it's kind of hard to play there. But with the Islanders, I love Bellows, so he's going to be a cash lock just for his price. I really like their second line, Bolivier, Nelson, and Bailey. I mean, Brock Nelson's been on fire lately with 5 goals, 15 shots over his last 5 games. And then you can go, like, even a value guy like Scott Mayfield, 21 shots and blocks over his last 5 games. That's a really solid floor there. This Pajot's kind of slowed down a little bit, not really shooting anymore, so kind of lost all my interest in him. For the Devils, the only guys I'm really interested in, I kind of like Kokkonen here and Strongachev. I probably butchered the crap out of both of those, but Igor's been really good, kind of 5, 3, and 3 shots in his last 3 games. He's got 14 shots over his last 5, and he's really cheap. He's 36 on FanDuel, and he's 27 on DraftKings, so he also makes for some great value to kind of be able to fit in Matthews and McKinnon tonight and also kind of pay up for a goalie. And we'll get into the goalies I like a little bit later. I also go over tiers for you. I'll kind of give my favorite plays on the tiers side of things for the slate this afternoon. Other than that, I mean, we'll get on to the next game. So the Islanders, top 2 lines, Bellows, Barzal, Eberle, Bolivier, Nelson, and Bailey. Like those for stacks. Like Pulock for value and Mayfield for value on defense. And the 2 value guys, I'm going to try to say their names again, but and Igor, I'll just say Igor, it's easier to say, are good value there. On to the next game, we have the Kings and the Avalanche. Kings are implied 2.2, Colorado 3.4. This is a really good matchup for them. It was 2-0 last game. The thing about, like, Calvin Peterson had 44 saves, so we got that DraftKings bonus. He scored really well on FanDuel. He's still cheap on both websites. I really like him for tournaments. just because Colorado's not really scoring that much lately. Like, they have the firepower, but they're just not lighting the lamp as much as they were earlier. They're still a really good team at home, so it's kind of hard to trust him, but I still like him in tournaments. I think he can still get that 35 save bonus on DraftKings, which is huge for the scoring wise. And he is 7K, I believe, on DraftKings. 7K on DraftKings, 7,100 on Fanduel. Definitely viable for tournaments. Philip Grubauer is my top cash play. Besides Mdell Jokovic, I can't say that. I even listened to it like 5 times before I started this too, and I still can't say it right. But those two guys are my top cash guys on both websites. Only have 100 price difference on either site. I do think Grubauer is going to see a bit more shots than him. So I lean Grubauer a bit. But like here, Landeskog, McKinnon, Rantanen, top stack. Obviously, they're in play. I like Samuel Girard. I like McDonald on DraftKings a little bit. Not too bad. And then I really like the Saad Kadri Burakovsky line. They're shooting a bunch. 42 shots over their last 5 games. 4 goals, 7 assists. Brian Graves, he's still blocking shots, still getting a good floor. He's a decent price on DraftKings. I don't think we have to go there on FanDuel just because we have like Hamilton and Werenski are kind of my top 2 there, with Seth Jones mixed in. Devin Taves kind of getting a little more of the scoring. And then one value guy if you want, still Nichushkin, 19 shots over his last 5 games. For the Kings side, we'll see here, like their power play in the last 10 is still really good. Penalty kills really good. They kind of flip-flopped here, their power play and their penalty kill over the last 10 on the road. I do have interest in Kempe, Kopitar, and Brown. They all top line, top power play line. It's hard to score against Grubauer, but if you want to throw them in tournaments, I don't have an issue with that. Throw in a Drew Doughty to get the rest of that power play correlation. And looks like I'm not really interested in Jeff Carter. He's kind of hit or miss. But the last game on the slate, we got the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Ottawa Senators. Toronto's implied 4 goals, Ottawa 2.6. Toronto's coming off a back-to-back. Ottawa plays feisty hockey. So it's always hard to go against Ottawa because every team is expected to kind of win against them. So they play really hard. But I like Hutchinson for cash. He's a good GPP play as well. Just the Ottawa Senators, they're shooting about 30 shots on goal a game. It's a little bit lower than their season average over their last 10, but they're still putting some pucks on the net. And we know Toronto's defense can be a little bit leaky. It's been really good over the last 10 games, though, so be weary on that. Obviously, Toronto is going to be very popular. Austin Matthews, cash lock, especially with a matchup against Matt Murray projected for Ottawa. Hyman is good value, playing on the top line, kind of got moved up there, took Thornton's spot. He's been shooting a bit lately. He's really cheap on both websites, so I don't have a problem going him for value. Mitch Marner kind of gets overlooked a lot, but he's been doing pretty well. 4 points, 17 shots over his last 5 games. Like throwing Morgan Riley if you're stacking their top line or their top power play unit. Willie Nylander's still been on fire. He's still shooting a lot. 22 over his last 5 games, one of the top on the slate. And if I could trust playing him in cash. Tavares, I would keep him more towards GPPs if you're going to stack the second line in tournaments. I don't mind that at all. Jake Muzzin, you can go there. He's really cheap, especially just because of the matchup that we have with Ottawa is really good option. But yeah, I mean, Austin Matthews definitely the top one. Him and McKinnon are going to be the top 2 on the slate. And then with the value that we have, like, we can definitely fit them in, especially with the Bellows and the 2 from New Jersey for value. I wrote a lot. So in my GPP sections on both sites, I wrote kind of the lines I like from each game. So I broke it down each game. You'll see the 2 teams in bold. little notes on them, and just like the other lines that I like if I didn't mention them in the top of my stacks. So I did that for each game, kind of why I like them and the chances that they have. Cash is a little tricky on Sundays, so I'm not really big on cash games tonight. But you'll see my cash core on DraftKings is Werenski, Matthews, Bellows, Guryanov. With those guys, you can likely fit McKinnon in as well. It's just hard against Peterson to really love him as much, but you got to play Matthews. For Fanduel, I did include McKinnon in my core just because Fanduel's a lot easier to build a lineup on. Bellows still with 3K values, really good over there. If you have any questions, guys, please throw them in the comments because I'm just going to go over tiers really quick for you, and we'll get ready to kind of crush this small 5-game slate on a Sunday. We look at the tiers. I'll show you guys the stacks so we can kind of see where we're going for stacks. These bottom two, not really interested in those guys at all. But we'll start with Colorado. You can stack their top power play unit, their top line. I would prefer going McKinnon here, but if you want to go Rantanen to be a little different in tournaments, you can. But you can do like a McKinnon, Landeskog, Girard, Kadri correlates on the power play. Toronto, I definitely prefer Matthews. You stack him with Nylander if you want to be a little bit different. They don't correlate, but Nylander's been really good. But you can stack him with Morgan Riley on that top power play. And then if you're playing Matthews in tier 1, which you should, Zach Hyman's a decent stack there. In tier 7, in a pretty weak tier of tier 7. Carolina, they made it really hard to stack Carolina because you got Aho, Hamilton, Svechnikov all in tier 2. You really can't go wrong with any of those guys. If you want, like if you play Aho, you'll stack him with Niederreiter, and I'd say probably Slavin. If you're doing Hamilton, I prefer going with Stahl. Svechnikov, you're gonna pair up probably with Stahl just because he's on the same line and the same power play, a little bit more correlation than Niederreiter, just on the power play. Dallas, you can stack up. You go Pavelski. You can go Ben for the power play. Throw in Klingberg. Rupe Hintz probably not going to play in this game. And then I would put Guryanov there for the power play 1 stack, or you can go Ben, Guryanov, Klingberg. The Kings, I'd say Kopitar. If you're going to stack him up, you go Kopitar, Kempe, and Brown. No problem with going Doughty in that either. The Senators, not really interested in them. I would probably say Kachuk's got the better floor and ceiling combo. Shabbat's been kind of hit or miss lately. Columbus, you can stack up their power play. You can go Atkinson, Lane, and Werenski in tier 8 here. Do you want to throw one of these guys in? I like Seth Jones. Bjorkstrand should have a pretty solid game. The Islanders, you can stack Barzal, Eberle, and I would say probably Pulak here. Nelson's been really good. Doesn't correlate with those two guys, but Nelson's been great lately. So tier 1, I would say it's Matthews, McKinnon, Marner, Rantanen for me. Tier 2, I want to give a slight edge to Hamilton just because he's a little bit more consistent than Aho, shoots more, blocks more. But Aho is a great play there too. Svechnikov, and then Pavelski. Tier 3, I would lean going with Kachuk just because of his floor, 47 shots and blocks, good consistency. He'd be my top guy there. Tier 4, I'm looking at, it's kind of tough. I like Nylander with the matchup against Murray, with that 90%, 5-point, 80%, 10-point consistency. So he's definitely a good play against Matt Murray. If you're stacking the Islanders, you go with Barzal. If you're stacking Colorado, you go Landeskog. Tier 5, kind of a crappy tier. Girard's been really consistent, but I don't really love the matchup. I like going Stahl if you're going to stack some of Carolina. Kempe has been really good of late. He kind of had that one blow-up game that's kind of elevating his goals there. Jamie Bench got a good matchup against Corpusalo. Tier 6, my lean would probably be Bjorkstrand here, or Seth Jones would be 1 and 2, and then I'd say Eberle. And those would be my top 3. You can throw in whatever guys correlate with your stacks. I don't have a problem going there. I'm not playing anybody from the Devils, so kind of throw out Jack Hughes. I don't think he's really going to do much here. Tier 7, I would say Zach Hyman because he correlates with Matthews. Good tournament there. Muzzin's got a good best projection, but he just doesn't really score that much. You can go with Dustin Brown if you're stacking the Kings, and Brock Nelson if you're stacking the Islanders. I like that there. Good consistency. He's scoring a bunch lately. And tier 8, it'd be Zach Werenski or Denis Gurianov for me. Werenski's got that really good floor, 37 shots and blocks, and that 90% consistency rating is really good for cash games. But yeah, let's see. You got some comments. Let's see. Nomad Traveler and Friend Hope Hold on Pain Ends. What a name. What a name. Who is a good value player? Kind of mentioned these a little bit. If you look at my player ranks sheet, you'll see some guys I have listed that are good value. So good value here for DraftKings at center. Jordan Staal, kind of the cheaper. Brock Nelson is probably the best value I have for center. For FanDuel, you can go with Jordan Staal for value. Radek Faska is 3,500. He's been performing pretty well lately on the third line of Dallas, so I don't mind him in your tournament lineups. The wing is where we're going to find most of our value. Like center, I'm probably going to put in Matthews, McKinnon, and then find my value at center or at wing. Sorry. On FanDuel, we got Bellows. Obviously, he's really cheap, only $3K. He's min price on both sides. The two Devils guys, not even going to try to say their names again, but they're on my sheet there. 3,600, 3,500 on FanDuel, 3K and 27 on DraftKings. They're good value to fit in the top studs. Gurianov's really cheap on both websites. Zach Hyman's cheap, good value. Then on defense, Werenski on both sides is great value. Jake Muzzin for his floor on FanDuel. Ryan Pulak's good value. And then on the DraftKings side, like Zach Werenski, probably my top value, 4,800. Ryan Graves is decent value too. So those are some of the value plays that I like. Blitz, let's see. Value, kind of went over value. I'm not playing, I'd say Zacic, or however you say his name, for the Devils. I'd say I like him better. Kind of been doing a little bit better on the second line lately, but I'm not really playing the Devils much. Did I discuss Radulov? No. Is he back playing tonight? I saw that he skated, but we'll see. I don't see him on. He obviously didn't play last night. If he plays, I think you can risk it if you want. I don't really love him, but let me see what RotoWire says. So he's projected to be back. He was activated from the injured reserve. He had another day off yesterday. I can see him playing on the top line, which will kind of boost him. He was doing really good before he got hurt. And actually the last 2 games he played was against the Blue Jackets. And he had a goal and 4 assists in those 2 games, 5 shots. His shots aren't really going to be there, but he was getting some assists before he got hurt. So I don't mind throwing him in there. 57 on FanDuel. Don't mind that value. Just checking his DraftKings price really quick. Let's see. He is 62 on DraftKings. Don't really like that DraftKings price. Just coming back off an injury. Hasn't played in over a month. But if you want to risk it in GPPs, go ahead if you're stacking Dallas. I love the matchup for them. But small slate tonight. If you guys have any other questions, tag me in Slack at mdelagnus14. I'll be around. Make sure you tag me so I get that notification. And let's crush this Sunday 5-game slate. Good luck, everybody.